Here we go. We're live, dude.
Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to our post-race post-show for the KSHE Night of Fire and Thunder from St. Louis. The Midwest Drag Racing Series rolled into St. Louis, and we rolled out in mostly one piece. Luke Clevenger here alongside my partner in crime, Mike Narks. Mike, first off, we got to start with a teensy bit of housekeeping in that yes, this stream is a week late, but
hey, last week was the 4th of July, man. You can't fault us for that. It was we were having a good time.
Yeah, and in my industry, that is, you get the day off, but you still have to make sure the content's there for it. So we busted our butt to make sure that did, and then I had 3 straight days of broadcasting at Brainerd International Raceway. So I was like, "Can we do it next week?"
Yeah, and I was totally fine with that. And I think everybody at home was probably fine with that too.
Yeah.
Talking about as we lead into this night, I think everybody really laid it on the line that night. That whole weekend, we didn't get out of there until really late Saturday night. Everybody kind of got in their trucks and were headed home. And dude, listen, I was fine. I was fine.
So let's talk about St. Louis. There's a lot of big stories coming out of St. Louis as we enter our summer break. We'll start off with the big one, the one that made headlines, the one that, we had people check up on. Michael KSHE was in that accident. If you missed our stream or you somehow missed it, Michael is okay. I don't have any word. Obviously, his car is not okay, but I don't have any word on, what they're doing now. But Michael is as healthy as can be. Healthier than can reasonably be expected after that. I also want to apologize. We trained, I want to give a shout out first off to Noel and Ryan, our 2 technical guys who aimed the camera away. They cut away to commercials and they did exactly what they were trained to. I shot a text message to them and make sure they're doing okay up here, because watching something like that the first time is scary, but they did a great job. Want to apologize. I saw a fire and I was like, and there's a fire, trying to alert people at the track.
Yeah.
The microphone was not off quite then. So that was the last word I got out. But anyway, it was an unfortunate cut, but I want to give a shout out to Noel and Ryan for doing exactly what was asked of them. I want to give a shout out to the health and safety crew, to everyone who was there. If I'm not mistaken, I think Shane Epper Jesse was one of the first on the scene alongside Taylor Pierce.
Yep.
So give a shout out to them, and thankfully we're all okay. One of the and we'll get into top sportsmen later, but I just wanted to start it out that if you missed the rest of that night, that's 2 thumbs up, right? Well, relatively up. Right. The other big story, the heat. Mike, it was oppressive.
Dude, it wasn't bad. You guys, it's funny because I had just come off of Rocky Mountain Race Week where literally 106 degrees and 145, 150 degree track temperature. A crazy week all week. And then I go over there and it's like 90s and I'm like, this is amazing. And it's like, it's so hot. It's so hot. And I'm like, it feels great. At one point, somebody had taken a track temp and they were like, oh my gosh. And the track temp was 104, 104. I was like, dude, this is great.
This is great.
Yeah. So the heat was a little much. And I think it probably affected some of the cars, obviously. And
the humidity
being in the lanes is hard.
Yeah. And the humidity was noteworthy too. We saw where we saw cars that would run 5s. We saw cars running 6, 10s.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And change down. And Mark Mickey can run a 5 all day. Didn't run a 5 this weekend. So obviously the engines weren't feeding, but I think that's always kind of how it is in St. Louis. That's just kind of the nature of the race. Some races are shootout record breakers. Some races are traditionally battles of attrition, and St. Louis has always been a battle of attrition.
Well, I think with timing and the positioning of that track, I mean, you're literally in the heartland of America, and it's hot in July.
And you're in late June, early July, traditionally when that race falls. It's going to be hot.
Yeah, get ready. But hey, the folks that were there earned points, and man, we're going to talk about some point stuff here as we get
Mhm.
into the later part of the show too. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, so before we get straight up into points, let's talk about some of the drivers who had
Oh yeah.
interesting weekends. I mentioned a battle of attrition. I do want to give a big shout out to Brian Lewis and the entire Lewis crew. Also want to give a shout out to we had a young woman who came. Obviously, it was a tough week in the racing world a couple weeks ago with the passing of Lizzie Musey and John Force's crash. But we had a young woman who was recovering from thyroid cancer, and Brian Lewis and team actually texted me. They're like, "Can you find her and take her to the pits?" And we got her in a seat. We got her T-shirt, and we actually got her to stand out on the line. So
How cool.
it was awesome. I believe we have a picture up on Facebook. If not, I'll send that your way, Narks, and you can get that up in the downtime. But Brian Lewis had a bit of a battle of attrition. You know, he tore the car apart between Kansas City and St. Louis because he's like, I want everything to be perfect. St. Louis is not a track that traditionally has treated Brian Lewis well for whatever reason. It's like a snake bite. And I know Courtney was talking to me and she's like, you know, it's just never our weekend. And that's the feeling Brian got too. Hey, what's up? Hey, that's Richard Edward. It is his birthday today, man. Happy birthday. All right.
Yeah. Happy birthday, sir. We appreciate it. And love you for being out there, man. It was awesome hanging out.
We love having you out there, man. Welcome to the family. You're part of the family now. So, you know, get used to it. But he's right. The humidity killed it. Being close to the river doesn't help. But Brian Lewis, the weekend started off wild because he pulled up to the right-hand side water box and they like waved him off because there was liquid underneath his car. Do you remember this?
Oh yeah. And then it turns out it wasn't his car and like this whole thing, man.
I will tell you that, and he was allowed to make a pass, like a legal time counts pass afterwards. What's up, Eric? But I'll tell you, I knew that wasn't his oil the second I saw Brian get out of the car and I saw the look on Courtney. Usually they're two easygoing, you know, people out there. Courtney looked like she was about ready to murk someone.
She was fired up. She was fired up. It was awesome.
But he made so anyway, Brian made a pass in Pro Mod, right? And he goes 374 and a 3, which in that humidity is a pretty good pass. He has problems in round 2 of qualifying, 373 in round 3 of qualifying. So you're like, okay, all right. And then he broke on the line in round 1 as well. And the young woman who was sitting in on that in Brian's car in Grumpy earlier was up in the broadcast booth, and she was like visibly like, "Oh no!"
She was like, "No way! This is my
I'm now a fan for life of Brian Lewis and Grumpy, and yet."
And yet he's not making a pass. Yeah, they were pretty upset. I think the car had given him a little bit of struggle the whole time. You know, they were. You know, of course, having to back out the first time doesn't help, you know, especially when you're like, hey, this is not ours and all that goes along with that. But then to just be in the moment, like, you know, racers are creatures of habit typically. And it's like when you get in the car, you do this and you do that. And then you pull it to the box, you do burnout, you bump in. And so they threw that entire thing off. You know, so kudos to Brian to get in there and then be able to bust out like a 73 after that and make the field.
I do think Brian has finals potential in Grumpy with the way that Jeff Pierce has it tuned up. It just, man, it happens with, you know, our reigning champion Keith. It happens with him too. Every once in a while, you just get a weekend, and it's just like, dude, this ain't your weekend. The nature of the beast. But other drivers who had a night. Let's talk Robert Costa, one of our new cars, Dude came in, showed up. First off, what a beauty, right?
I mean, yes. Larry Jeffers race car is beautiful. Switch from a Pro Charger to a screw blower for this car. I mean, cool story, man. Super cool story.
And it is, you know, like you said, brand new to him. He took the delivery, Monday, I think it was, before the race. And he immediately got it off the trailer. Usually these things take, you know, months, if not a year, to get fully tuned in. He comes off the trailer 373.0 in testing, then runs Q1 a
Well,
personal.
hang on, real
Hold
quick.
on. No, go ahead.
The first pass, I mean, like the first pass of the car down the track was 401. Like, dude,
That's
first time
crazy.
you put it on 401.
You're just trying to make sure that the thing like will rotate tires on your first pass.
Yeah. Nope. He said we're sending this dude right here. It impressed me like I've never been impressed. I was like, wow, let's go, dude. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was amazing. And so 373.0 in like the second or third pass he ever made.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
He had one tire shake during testing, but we won't. I mean, that happens, right? Q1 comes around 372.6, which if I'm not mistaken is his personal best. Wow. Has a not great Q2. Q2 we'll get into. Q2 was kind of nasty in terms of just being able to get point A to point B. Mm-hmm. But then Q3 runs another personal best at 371.6.
This car is money. Qualified fourth.
Yeah, qualified number 4 in a brand new car in his first race of the Midwest Drag Racing Series season. So I mean, like, dude, I meant to go talk to him. I wasn't able to, but I was like, you're coming to our other races, right? Because like,
please,
you can go deep. You're a contender already. Which it should be mentioned. It should mention like Costa has. Costa's done thousands of runs. Like it's just a new car. It's not a new driver. Robert Costa knows what he's doing in there. He's a fast driver. Right. So, but I'm like, dude, you're in Martin, right? Please. And if not, at least tell me you're in Kansas City for the SmackDown.
Oh, you know he's going to Kansas City. He's got it.
Let's talk another guy who made his debut. I would like to give a big old shout out to a guy who did not run a actual qualifying run, but Frankie Radicke debuted his brand new to him Pro Mod. If I'm not mistaken, it's a Larry Jeffers car that he bought, but you talked to him. He was planning, this is his lifelong dream come true.
Oh man, this is a great story here. So we did a whole thing during the show, but also, or during the live stream, but this is a great heartwarming story here. This guy wanted this for so long, and then just, sold cars, bought cars, raced cars, did all this stuff. His business grew. He finally became finally got the opportunity to purchase a car. He said they went through several weeks or several months of looking at cars, and then this car came up, and it is all like freshly new upgrades, checked over, everything like that by Larry Jeffers. And the previous owner wanted to go a different direction, do some different stuff. So this kind of happened last year. Then he buys all kinds of parts from like Jay Cox and Brad from YO Engines. Ends up, he said he bought it in the back alley at PRI. He's like, man, I had this sack of cash, and I give it to this guy in the back alley at PRI. Like, he said it probably looked inappropriate, but it wasn't. So congratulations to him. It really is one of the greatest stories of the weekend. Dude, so hyped. Goes out, does his first burnout. Sadly goes, can't figure out. He gets it to back up, but then can't get it to neutral, and everybody was around him. So he's just like, hey, let's stop. Let's go back. And so he went down to practice and got it and came out and made his licensing passes this weekend with us. It was awesome.
It was awesome, and I'm hoping Frankie could make it. So Frankie, I have some experience with Frankie. He is a local racer at Gateway, Worldwide Technology Raceway. Sorry, old habits die hard, even for saying it every week for 5 years. But he is a local guy at Worldwide Technology Raceway. He is a killer in the bracket classes. So to see him go up there, get a really high power car, dude, right? It's an awesome car. I can't wait to see what he can do. And also, like, I love people who are like living their best life, and he is living his best life right now. So I'm stoked for him. Other cars that reached personal bests, Brandon Yeoman, in round number 2 of Slammers, successfully broke into the 3 second range. So we're super stoked on him. Really hooked up in round 1 of Slammers, a 3.97 and a 1. And so for Yeoman to do that, his whole crew looked like they reacted pretty positively, and I was stoked to see the Moonshine runner go out there. And
And another, 41 Willys Pro Mod body. So that gives us 3 now with Blake Housley, Grumpy, and now Brandon Yeoman. That's awesome, man.
I don't need to tell anybody my opinions on Willys. So, let's talk. I mentioned this a little bit earlier. We mentioned the heat, the humidity, blah 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Q2. I think the track temp dipped a little bit. In that, I'm looking at my score sheet right now. Right? Score sheet is just all of the run data that I could take. I mark it red when I'm like, that was not a good run, or you had to flip it off, right? Turn it off. If you pedaled through it and it looked crazy, you get an orange. But red is like, yeah, you had to shut that bad boy off. Yeah. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cars that turned off, 2 runs that were marked iffy, and 1 pedal, like one that had to. Round 2 of qualifying, which is usually your like get up and go round, was not that. And it kind of led to I think it led to a little bit of interesting jumble in terms of who qualified where, because traditionally that's your fastest opportunity to qualify. And so it ended up your fastest opportunity to qualify was earlier and your last chance one. So
right.
It led to some interesting dynamics as we entered into our rounds of elimination. However, what it didn't do was stop Mark Mickey from being the fastest car on property.
Yeah, 3 times in a row now.
Let me just throw this stat out for you. Qualifying number 1, the fastest car was Mark Mickey. Qualifying number 2, the fastest car was Mark Mickey. Q3, the fastest car was Mark Mickey. Round 1, the fastest car was Ron. I'm kidding. This was Mark Mickey. Round number 2, it was Keith and Ryan, Mark Mickey. Number 3, it was Mark Mickey. I feel, and this is where we start getting to our pro mod points, man. This is the race that he finally gets it all put together, and he's in the finals. He has to face off against Brandon Snyder in qualifying round number 2 in Martin. You just got the feeling that this was his night.
Yeah, I mean, it truly was. And he was, when we say he was fastest, he wasn't fastest by a ton. So Snyder had a really good opportunity. I think he was off by 4,000s or something like that.
He did.
So that would have been the matchup to see for number 1 and number 2 qualifier to go all the rounds and get here. That's really one of the first times we've seen that this year for number 1 qualifier to go all the way to the end.
Yes. And by the way, yes, Mark is an animal, and I did see that reverse up the lane after this burnout. Dude, Mark is crazy. It blows my mind that he is not the points leader after those first 2 races, but he might be the points leader after our Friday night in Michigan. Let's talk about it. Okay, so as we look right now at our pro mod points, please understand, I need to make this crystal clear. I do not calculate the points. Mike does not calculate the points. These are us spitballing. And also, I don't remember off the top of my head where everyone qualified, which it makes points difference in terms of like 1 or 2 points here and there, right? But let's talk, okay?
Yeah.
Right now, okay, as it stands right now, sorry about that. Mark Mickey has 180 points to 206 for Keith Haney. That was coming into St. Louis, and St. Louis is not an official race yet, right? So he needs 26 points, and you get 20 points for a round win, and then you get 25 points, I think it is, for round for number 1 qualifier down to 10, right? Each position. So 1 round win and 6 qualifying slots, right? If Mark Mickey wins the round of eliminations, Mark Mickey will be sitting. Let me find this. Hold on. Haney is so Haney lost in round 2, right?
Only Nitrous car to go the second round.
Right. Although I will say Nitrous showed up pretty well. It was
we'll go over those numbers in a minute. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
But no, you're good. So he had 1 because Mickey moved up. Mickey wins the finals. That's 2 rounds, which is more than 1 round. So Mark Mickey to my knowledge, will be to my guesstimation, we'll say, will be your points leader round 2 of eliminations in Martin if he wins. And also I want to point out too, it's kind of a blessing in disguise in a bit of a way, because instead of the hot and muggy St. Louis heat, you're going to be able to go to Martin where it is cool as a cucumber. You see speeds. Samuel Peterson and Jimmy Bradshaw get that track hooked up and going. It's gonna be a good show. Round 2 qualifying for Martin. So
and that's not until September. So now you have, like, here's my question: Are these guys going to test anywhere? I haven't heard from Keith. Him and I are talking in the morning about some of the track stuff, but I'm going to ask him: Is he going testing anywhere? Can't just come out and come swinging at that. It's 8 weeks from now.
Yeah, I gotta shoot them a message, see if they're testing. It's interesting too, because it's like, it's July. If you're gonna test, I know testing is testing in many ways, but also if you're gonna test, you're based in Tulsa, you're based in southern, Missouri, you're based in Texas. You're not gonna find anywhere that is going to give you anything quite like what September in Michigan's going to be. I mean, we're talking like the air temp might be like under 60 when we run this run. I mean, legitimately, like, I'm a little further north, but we are in very much the same climate. We have not broken like 82 degrees this year yet.
Oh man, bring that on. I would love that right now.
Think about what that does to a car. And think about, like, where are you going to go to replicate that right now? The closest one would be, Brainerd, Michigan, but there ain't a lot of places that are that cool to give you that. Richard, dude, pack your hoodies, man. It is hoodies and shorts kind of racing in the best possible way, in front of one of the best crowds in pro mods anywhere. The US 131 is awesome. So we'll have to ask if they're testing anywhere, and if you guys are watching, you want to divulge information, you have our numbers.
Let us know, please. Hit me up.
Please do, because we have a pre-show that we're going to do ahead of that one too. So, let's see, who else do we want to hit? Yeah, Brandon Snyder, he's Mark Mickey's opponent. Okay, let's talk about Snyder real quick. 368, 366, 367. 367, 367, 365.
Yeah. That's a bracket car, man.
That's a bracket car in the mid sixes. In temperatures where a 3.7 is going to give you a pretty good run.
Oh yeah.
And to qualify, I believe it was number 2. In a 21 car field is also impressive, because the Richard goes, I'm available for radio testing. Yeah, if you need a drone shot of your cars, guys.
Please.
But to run the bracket car in that speed in a 21 car field is great. Let's talk about that field, because we saw the best car count that we had all year in St. Louis. Dude, right? He will not be taken lightly. He will not go down quietly. Where was I saying? 21 car field. It was a deep field. This is a very competitive qualifying round, a very competitive field. I was almost broken because when 21 cars show up, that means, 5 aren't going to make the show. And there were deserving candidates in those 5.
Oh yeah. I mean, there was a lot of fast cars that just couldn't make it down. Like, I mean, John Stouffer, great example.
Yeah.
They just didn't get down in time.
Yeah. And I was excited. Now, this will be the fastest. This will be the biggest field we've had thus far, but it'll get annihilated by Kansas City. But 32. What is it up to? Like $250,000, $300,000.
Yeah,
we have a
$260 something thousand, I think.
Yeah, that'll get it done. But
the great thing about Kansas City is just the depth of cars that are going to be there. Like, I mean, this is just late night memories, I think, of Ellen saying it. But there's only a few pro mod spots available for
Yes.
SmackDown left. So knowing what we know, that means there's close to 50 pro mods that are signed up for the SmackDown. So yeah, these guys need to get in and get their points done here.
You need to be there. You know you want to be there.
Yeah.
If you can be in at Kansas City, make it. Hey, what's up, Tim?
Yeah.
Also, I do agree with Steve Cooks. He can Brandon Snyder can drop the hammer on you when you least expect it. Let's call our shot. Who do you have? Mickey versus Snyder.
Man, I don't know. Let's look back at Brandon Snyder's. What in testing did he run? Do you have any of those notes?
Let me see. Snyder. It's tough. I was not in on Thursday.
Oh, that's right.
So
Yep,
I don't.
yep.
Yeah,
So,
I don't have Brandon Snyder's.
Man, I don't know, because the hard part for me is like Brandon Snyder came out swinging to be so close, and you have to think, like, unless these guys go up a day early and test, which both those guys are completely capable of doing that.
Yeah,
you're only going to have testing that morning, and then Q1 to really kind of make your number. And then you go into what is essentially the finals and Q2, but you're also you are now in Q2 in the best air possible. This is your best opportunity to qualify the best and take this, get these final, 20 points, 25 points.
I'm not a tuner, but it's going to be tough for the tuners, I would think, to not throw the entire kitchen sink at the power output, and just see what sticks. But you know what I'm saying? I'm like, you're tempted to just be like, give it everything. But that is the most costly wheels, tire chatter that you're going to have all year. So
that's right. I will say this: it is more important points wise for Mark Mickey to get it, because this is Brandon Snyder's first race with us this season, right?
Yeah. I will go. I am going to go with Brandon Snyder. All right.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that means I get Mark Mickey. Okay.
I like Mark Mickey as a favorite, but I think that Snyder has nothing to lose.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like, dude, you made it to the finals in your first race of the season with a 21 car pro mod field.
Yeah,
like, you're literally 4,000ths off the number one qualifying spot, and those guys were 200 or 300ths ahead of 3 and 4, right? I mean,
it was somewhere around there. So this is as close of a toss out. Like, I really can't begin to make it, and my prediction is just based off of whatever my gut here says in this exact moment, because awesome. I will waffle on it. So let us move on then to, are we missing anything that we want to hit in terms of the pro mods, or do we want to move on to?
Ron Minnick's great weekend.
Yes.
Just didn't quite get that put together. And then I do want to talk about 21 car field, huge field for us, 10 screw blowers, 6 nitrous cars, biggest nitrous field I think I remember seeing, 3 pro chargers and 2 turbo cars. And the 2 turbo cars went to the semis. So pretty amazing.
Yeah.
They were holding it up.
I like Steve. Turbo guys are the best, but Brandon carries a sledgehammer.
Yeah,
that's a great way to put it. But I love the car count we got in St. Louis. And you know what I like too was, we were texting before this. We were like, dude, there was more than a few races where Keith would be the only nitrous car, right? Depending on whether or not Tony Strachan would be able to make it before Chris Giuliano joined us full time. And now we're at, like you said, 6, I think it was, nitrous cars.
Yeah.
That's
pretty awesome.
That's badass, dude.
Yeah, and cool cars. I mean, like Jim Widener in the C7 out there in the nitrous car. Chris Giuliano obviously races with us all the time. Tony Strachan. Who else? Hagedorn was out there with us. I mean, it was a huge field. It was awesome.
I do want to give a shout out like to the rules too, because it's a testament to, nitrous cars can compete. They don't automatically win events. And
but dude,
it's not a lot of places that like nitrous
car won the
is
championship last year. I mean,
they did,
so,
they did.
yeah.
But would you say that Keith is, the fastest car out there every weekend? No,
Nope.
it's a. This year it's mostly Mark Nicky, but it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Steve Cook's nitrous cars demanding respect. That's right.
Yeah, it's amazing to see those 6 coming in here.
Yeah.
The white Corvette's the only car that moved his drone in KSHE.
Yeah, that's Todd Bennett. I love that car too.
I also want to give a shout out, by the way, to Keith Goolsby, who jumped in my broadcast booth during round 1.
Yes.
That was awesome. Also to Kurt Riffle, who was in during round 2. So thank you. And by the way, any of our drivers are welcome to join me in the booth. Obviously, I don't wish you to be there in round 1 because that's the other thing we missed was Keith Goolsby threw a rod in the smoothest run he's ever seen.
Didn't even at that point there was no oil under the car, no oil on the track, no oil anywhere. He was getting ready to go to round 2 and get ready for racing, and there's literally a hole in the bottom of the block about this size, just hanging out. So
I believe the term he used was one of his crews came up to him and said, "There's a." Oh, thank you, Steve. I think the term he used was they came up and said, "Hey, there's an extra hole in the engine block. There's one more than there's supposed to be."
Right. All right, let's roll because I've got a hard cut at 8:15. Sorry.
Absolutely. So let's roll over. I want to give a big shout out to Lance Van Houen. Steve Macklin wins funny car, but Lance Van Houen to me is one of those developing stories throughout the year that is awesome to watch because I will, I won't gas them up on an evening that they don't need gassed up. In Tulsa was rough for them, and I had never seen the Van Houen brothers racing crew. So when I saw the Van Houen brothers racing crew, they came out. I think their best run was like a 6. They didn't break the 4s. I was like, we'll see what they do. But right now, they're still finding it. Dude, I love their hauler too. I love their entire livery, man. So Tulsa was not. I loved having them, but I was not overly impressed with, their speed. I thought, we'll find it. I'll tell you what, they found it. They found it in Kansas City. They found it in St. Louis. They are coming up. I don't want to go up against Lance Van Houen. Let's talk. Let's talk. A 3.928 in Q1. Then he reran in Q1. We're talking about Kansas City, by the way. 3.7. Then he ran a 3.8 in round 1 of eliminations in Kansas City. Had a bye, broke the beam, and he made it into the semis where he ultimately spun the tires against Steve Macklin. A lot of guys don't get the shot at going up against Steve Macklin. So let's go back to Gateway. All right. Worldwide Technology Raceway. You go, how do we build on this? All right. We got a little bit of momentum. 3.83 in Q1. Not bad. 3.79 in Q2. 3.78 in round 1. And then he kept up with Steve Macklin, but ultimately was about a 10th off in the finals. That's 2 consecutive semifinals for Lance Van Houen and the Van Houens. And I'm excited. I'm like stoked for them because I'm like, oh, dude, like if you can find yourself in the 7s, like, you can go rounds. Let's go.
All it takes, like we were talking before, all it takes is just a slip up. I mean, that's a lot of time, but not a lot of time in the midst of it. And those guys are getting it figured out, and they're having a blast.
They are too. I mean, it's awesome to see. Also, I mean, to go up against Mark Billington and take Billington's not an easy car to beat, and he took it to Mark Billington, actually treat him with a 3.78.6 to Billington's 3.78.2, so 0.004 of a second splitting the 2. So a big shout out to Lance Van Houen and a big shout out to Steve Macklin for getting a back-to-back win. He's continuing his title defense now. And I also would like to say that, Steve Macklin, as humble and good-natured of a guy as he is, would be the first to tell you he's not immune to spinning the tires and oopsie daisy, Lance Van Houen, Mark Billington, whoever gets their win.
Yeah, yeah. One quick shout out before we move on from Funny Car. Mark Billington said that he will have the car wrapped by SmackDown, and that he's trying
All
to
right.
have it done by Martin. So we should see the new wrap on his car. So everybody knows that's the carbon fiber body. No stickers, no anything on that car.
Mhm.
For the last couple races, he said he didn't want to take the chance of it not being ready for the races because he's out here getting points.
Absolutely, absolutely. I get that. You know what's going to happen is we're going to have the funny car come underneath or come by the through the staging lanes into the water box. And I'm going to flip the mic off. Who is that? I don't recognize that one. What
Oh,
car
no.
is that again?
No,
Oh,
listen,
that's Billington's.
I'll have photos of it up before we get there. Hopefully,
Oh,
if he'll let us. I hope he lets us.
I want to give a shout, dude. You send me those photos. Thursday, I was doing a work engagement. It was a very tough job. I was at a music festival introducing Smash Mouth to a crowd of thousands. But you were sending me pictures. So I was like, okay, this is Costas. All right, that's Radickies. All right, cool. So thank you for that. Let's keep moving here because I want to get into top dragster. So Jeremy Maples did not. Thanks, Ryan. Oh, by the way, congratulations, Ryan. Your first runs in Pro Mod. So we're thankful to see you. Thanks for coming out, man. I know you made this, you did it. Like you're a Pro Mod driver now, man. We talked about
that. Upgraded from 1 kit to 4 kits. 403, I think, is the best pass.
It was,
408, something like that. Yeah, it was really great to see him do that and just having a good time. One story that he did say, I was asking like why move up to Pro Mod instead of skipping. He goes, well, I could have done like a track rental or something like that, but I wouldn't have probably gotten as many passes. Plus, he got to see all of his friends. Is exactly what he said. Plus, I got to hang out with all these people here. So
I love it.
It's kind of fun. Yeah,
I love it. Love having you, Ryan. And dude, rock and roll, man. You're Pro Mods. Let's go. So Jeremy Maples suffers a defeat to the hands of Jordan Epperjesse in round number 3. All right.
Yeah. This was a big thing because this is a brand new car for him. Point leader going into the round, and they end up next to each other. Man, I mean, talk about numbers on the line. Talk about a pass that you need to make.
That was the storyline, man. And Jeremy Maples has been looked unbeatable his first 2 weekends with the Midwest Drag Racing Series. This time, Epperjesse gets him. And Epperjesse, it should be mentioned, was runner-up both times. So the points difference, not that big. Epperjesse beats him in the semis. Epperjesse is going to the finals. But wait, it rains.
Yeah.
So if Epperjesse wins, Epperjesse's 30 points behind. You get 20 points per round win. So we can say with some confidence, Epperjesse wins in the semis. If Epperjesse wins the finals, she's gained 40 points that Maples has not. Epperjesse will probably be your number 1 point sitter, unless the two are separated by a certain amount of qualification points, but I don't know that off the top of my head. So if Epperjesse wins this final, she's your points leader. The problem is Epperjesse is not going to be able to make it. Neither is Kamler to Martin, which we understand is a long drive. So SmackDown it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So the big question there is, and I'll message Jeremy after this and update everybody on the page later tonight or tomorrow, but is Maples going to Martin?
I'm literally typing right now. I asked if he's going to make it to the race in Martin. He said yes.
Oh man. So
we're talking.
So if he goes several rounds there and Jordan doesn't show up, man, what are like how many points and guys, I apologize for not knowing this kind of stuff. This is I do points with Dragon Drive stuff. I need to learn all the points for Midwest Series too.
The hardest thing to do is know the point system for like 2 or 3 different series and not get them confused.
Yeah. So, can he pull way ahead, or could somebody take over the second spot because they will have gained all the points from the race in Martin, and actually push Jordan to third. But then Jordan and Kamler are racing in Q2 at the SmackDown for the finals of the St. Louis race. So then
Okay.
she'll have the push of all of those points onto her
So
as well.
basically, my brain hurts from the permutations, as the British would call them, on what round one or on what the start of our championship chase looks like. Because Martin is the start of the championship chase. That's to me, it's always Martin is one of, if not your first race back from the break, and like that is where you start to get into the full swing of things, where you're like, okay, now everything means something. So in order to get there, in third place is Mark Moore, and in fourth place is Wade Pennington, okay, with 134 and 130 points. Epper Jesse, as it stands right now, has 202 without factoring in St. Louis, right? So somehow
they've got a lead.
Yeah, so somehow if Epper Jesse gets bumped down, for Epper Jesse to get bumped down to third or worst, we'll need to gain 70 points, which would be 3 rounds plus some qualifying chatter.
Yeah.
So I think there's a chance, but also not everyone gets to go 3 rounds. Nature of the beast, right? Yep. But with Jeremy showing up to Michigan, I'm pretty comfortable in saying I think Jeremy goes 3 rounds. So that would put Jeremy back ahead by like roughly where we sit right now prior to St. Louis, and the championship chase is still on. Right. Like it, I don't think we're gonna have an answer to what it looks like until like after the SmackDown, and I would be shocked if it's not extremely close. I think Jeremy's gonna Jordan is going to Martin.
Hang on, because I may have a memory here. Is the SmackDown a points race?
I'll have to check with Keith.
I think I'm messaging Ellen now.
Yeah, do a message Ellen, because Keith made an announcement of some sort about the points things for the SmackDown.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. We're getting. Tim says it is not.
Tim said it is not, and I remember that announcement from St. Louis, but I said something and then I got corrected, and I forgot what I got corrected on. Which it should be mentioned for those of you who are maybe not drivers, maybe you're just fans watching this. Yeah, show up points only, Tim Cunningham says,
which at this point may be necessary.
Maybe necessary, yeah. For those of you who may just be fans who may not be drivers or worried about the points, but you're interested in the series, part of the reason that is, to my estimation / knowledge, is we got 21 cars this weekend, and we know all those 21 cars, and so points payouts, we want to determine a Midwest champion. There's 50 plus pro mods alone, not to mention all the other classes, but I'm using pro mods because I know those numbers. There are 50 plus cars at the throwdown, and it's a 32 car field, which means there's automatically 1 extra round of points to get if there were to be points. And over half the field is guys that don't race with us all the time. So, let's suppose, we'll use Keith as an example, right? Let's suppose Keith gets on a burner and manages to go into the semifinals or makes the finals, but because we had guys from the Northeast, from Canada, and from the West Coast that show up, such and such red lit in round 1. Now all of a sudden Keith has a full more than an event's points worth of haul, because so-and-so got, maybe someone crossed the center line and tags. There's just so many, like, that's not our guys, it's everyone. And there's so much money on the line, and there's extra rounds that it's just better to have the points be the points for the Midwest race and treat this as an exhibition, if you will. Well, not an exhibition, it's for a lot of money. So
I think it's probably going to also allow racers to really lay it on the line. Like Midwest Drag Race Series racers to really lay it on the line. They're not worried about saving their stuff to to obviously they're going rounds with it, but they're not worried about, man, I need to save this because I need to get these points. It's like, hey, let's go out and get this money
That's a great
for
point
all the
too.
classes. For all the classes.
That's a great point too. We don't want to see guys trying to decide, what they want to do based on points, based on. We want to see the guys go, nah, dude, there's 6 figures on the line. Screw it and send it, boys.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, I would like to know, and you may not know this off the top of your head, but how many events in a row has Anita Strasberg been the number 1 qualifier in Top Dragster?
As far as I know, 3. I believe she was the number 1 in Tulsa. I'm pretty sure she etched out.
She definitely has
Betsy
been
Peak
this year.
And then going back to last year, that's a great question.
Yeah.
I would reckon we're over 5 at this point, at least.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I thought too. I was trying to remember back because I went to the race in October, I think, last year, and she was number 1 qualifier there. And
the crazy cool thing is that she runs pro mod times. Like she'll run 71, 72.
Yeah.
And it's like, girl.
Yeah.
You ever consider getting a pro mod?
Oh, I'm sure they've considered it. As many cars come from that stable, they can definitely do it.
So that will bring us to you want to go into Top Sportsman now?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Top Sportsman. I don't know what that is. I'll have to check my VPN. But Top Sportsman, man, I have never seen anybody have a season that Rod Moore is having right now.
Intense, man. It's his to lose. I'll tell you right now. Like there's
it would take like a meteor strike for him to, drop out.
It's impressive. It is impressive what he's doing. And again, he's just deadly consistent.
And I've never seen anybody. Dude, Rod's unreal. I've never seen anybody do a double beam break for the semis and finals at the same time, just to take an event win. And then it happened again in St. Louis, and it was to Rod again.
Oh yeah,
I'm like, not only is he like the best, like most consistent driver in that class. No offense to all of the other drivers, but Rod is just the model. He's the cream of being consistent, right?
Yeah.
How many times have you seen Rod break out even?
Dude, rarely.
I can't think of any.
Well, none this year. He has not
broke out a single
this year at all.
Yeah.
Not one time.
And no red lights either in rounds of elimination. And the last time I know of that he broke was 2 years ago. So like, not only is like Rod very, very good, but he's also very, very lucky in a way of like, dude, he just got 2 competition buys in a row to win the semis and the finals. And then next week it's 2 competition buys to win the semis and the final, or natural buys to get the, I'm like, I've never seen it.
It's wild and I love it. And what I would like to know is like, what's his typical reaction time running into this stuff? Like, is he deadly consistent on the tree too? Like, is he just that good? And if he's that good, dude, go get that $1 million at that bracket race, man. Dude, I'm telling you, he can do it.
No kidding. Like, where are you during the Mickey Thompson million? Because that is also in St. Louis.
Tim Cunningham says, plug wire failure got me in second round, but Rod went 0-1 on the tree. Would have been tough to beat either way.
Yeah, that's a tough draw. Unbelievable. The plug wire would get you, but I mean, or Rod almost mathematically would have eliminated you, I'm sure, like in terms of 001 reaction time plus however close he run. I mean,
getting that close. Shout out to Mike Chitty though for being the number 1 qualifier at Top Sportsman.
Yeah, big shout out to him.
427. That car was moving out.
Yeah, I'm eager. I'm eager and hopeful to see what the plan is for the Chitties moving forward. The Chitties have been racing with us for a long time. Michael Chitty, Rod, put that comment by Rod up there. He goes, actually, it was 000.
Yeah. Excuse me while I whip this out. That's awesome. That's awesome. Hey, hey, while Rod's in here, I do want to ask one thing of him. I would love to see that car or that truck spray the purge out of the hood, man, it he purges so much nitrous. I think it would create some of the biggest plumes out there. It'd be just gorgeous. That's my only ask of him. I love that thing.
Oh, Tim's playing the mental game.
Nice. I like it. Hey, and I want to give a shout out to Tim. Say thanks for coming up and spending time in the booth with me, man. Those guys came up and hung out during the pre-show that we did, or that I did, right on site. It was really fun to come up and talk to those guys, and I think they spent like 20 minutes live with me, telling stories and all that.
And I apologize I couldn't make it there, but I knew it was going to be a great show anyway. But thanks for Tim. I also want to give a shout out while we're in Top Sportsman. Tina Pierce.
Oh yeah,
the Nova has been a little gremlin for the last few events. Even going back in the last year, I'll tell you what, the Nova looked pretty good this weekend.
Yeah, 70s, 470s. That's, I think, one of the quickest times that car's been with the LS in it, which is awesome to see. And, I love those folks. They struggled. I mean, they blew an inner tire on the toter home 40 miles from the track.
And then saw that.
Had to wait 6.5 hours to get that. So they had no testing done on Thursday. To come out and do that, pretty impressive.
And also, if I'm not mistaken, what's up, Jimmy? If I'm not mistaken, too, I think it was Rod Moore got to wear Diamond Dave's chain. Am I wrong? Yeah, nope, Rod got Diamond Dave's chain.
Yeah, that's what gave him the extra oomph to get that other win. I mean, listen, that's 3 in a row for Rod. If somebody's going to beat him, they're going to have to come on with it.
Yeah, you either need to start eliminating Rod in the first round, or you just need to be like, I just want to win an event.
Yeah.
It would be awesome. I'm gonna be straight. The most championship seasons that we look at when we see historically. Hey, Shelly. Hey, Kurt. Most championship seasons that we see are built off the back of 2 to 3 event wins. That's kind of the magic number. If you win 2 or 3 events and you're good in the ones that you don't win, you have the championship pretty much locked up, or you at least are in the top 2, right? He already has 3 for 3. And so like whoever it is needs to do it in Martin, needs to bounce Rod early, and needs to win basically from here on out. And I just think that Rod is so good. I don't think that's achievable.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to have to really turn it up and I don't know. I mean, they're just going to have to, but turning 000 lights, dude just makes pass after pass after pass. All right. Well, I'm down to like my last like 13 minutes. I want to talk about the pro juniors class because Kesterson and Stevenson, neither one were at St. Louis.
Yep.
So I can't wait to see the new points. But by my loose math understanding here, Tyler Wells should have overtaken the lead. He was out by like 20 something points. I think it was 20 points exactly. So all he needed was 21 points to be moved up. And I would think he won the event. So surely he definitely has those. But does this put him, like, is he running the entire season? And if he is, does it go? Yeah, man, I can't wait. I can't wait to see how racers missing an event is going to end up as we move into the later races of the season.
It's especially an event like St. Louis, because Martin is the one that most of them miss. But it's 1,000 miles from their most of their bases in Oklahoma, Texas, alike. So Tyler Wells, and here's the thing too, Tyler Wells is a 2-time champion. So if he progresses through the rest of the year, he could be a 3-time champion, and his previous 2 championships are in Sportsman Junior. So he will be a 2-class champion as well.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Which I'll have to double check. Let me double check right now. I believe Keith Haney is the only other multi-class champion.
Gotcha. That sounds right to me. Again, I don't know all the historical stuff.
Yeah. So Haney won Radial versus the World 2017. Yeah. Yeah, see, Shelly Kurt, 14 hours for us, but this is always the upside of Michigan. The track is fast. It's not just the fastest track in Michigan. It's one of the fastest in the world. It is a fantastic track. The crowd turns out. I also want to give a shout out to Terry, who was there, and I like the KSHE 95 profile picture. Might be a little partial. It might be my company that I work for. But
Yep.
yeah, so notes. There we go. Multiple championship years. Yeah, Keith Haney is the only multi-class champion to me. So
Pro Juniors is a class to watch, especially for points race, because Kesterson she is in a campaign for her third in a row class champion. Rod Moore is in a campaign for his third in a row class championship. Again, the season is still up for grabs. We're still very early. Let's talk about this thing right here, the jet burn.
Okay, I have to send a couple things. One, that was sick, but we also got like a text that was like, "Is everyone okay? Why is there a car on fire? Who is it? Are we okay?" Yeah. And like, it's like, okay, we would, first off, there's a jet right there. Second, we would not zoom in on anything like that. Man. That thing was sick, dude.
Listen, I went over and talked to the guy. I'm like, how, for the event that I host in April, I'm like, how can, please tell me, what number does it take for you to come down and burn cars like that? It made me feel like an 8-year-old boy. I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. Cars are popping and banging. Those are 2 cars stacked on each other, and by the end of it, that one on top is on the bottom inside the other one, and they were welded together. It was amazing.
I have a picture that I will send your way, and you can put it on social.
Please,
dude. Like, you can barely tell unless you really look at it that it is actually 2 cars, because they're sitting so flush that it's one. Coolest, most dangerous. My dad pretty much summed it up when he was like, that was the most incredible American, dangerous, hillbilly, awesome thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, there's a little bit of like, hell yeah, we're gonna do it, baby. Like,
as you know, like typically you would be like, it'd be like, oh, cool, they're on fire. No, this guy was like fire that it was like afterburner turned on as we were like, this has got to be winding down. It was awesome. And then he just lights that afterburner. I was like, here we go.
The little bits of magnesium that were flying off the car that landed on the drag strip that made it look, the drag strip looked like it was like fireworks.
Yeah.
I was worried. You see up on the upper left-hand side of that, there's billboards. Those billboards, I think they're plastic, but I'm like, please don't catch fire on those.
Oh, they're melted for sure. They are discolored. It was pretty cool, man. I'll give them that. And then we also had the side-by-side jet cars.
Oh yeah, the Douthits, the Quartermaster, and the Black Pearl.
Yeah.
Super cool. Don't quote me on for sure that, oh, look at that shot.
Dude, don't quote me on this on the roof.
Don't quote me on this for sure, but they are traditionally almost always in Martin. They've been in Martin the last 3 years, I think, consecutively. So I think we'll see them in Martin. I did not confirm. I should have. But yeah, dude. The heat coming off from 30 feet away was insane.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, when the car fell into the van. I was like, how could we get more of that? It was incredible.
Hey, listen, if Keith is watching this, I don't know where we're going to do this at Tulsa Raceway Park, but we're doing it big time, buddy.
Everybody get off of the right-hand side stands because they might catch fire.
Yeah.
Come on over to the left side. We're lighting these bad boys up.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. The 2 jet cars were super cool. Again, my mom came up. I want to give a shout out to her. Thank you for her. I love you, Mom, for coming up and spending the weekend with me. It was the first time like her and I had hung out. See, when you have kids, your mom doesn't really hang out with you much anymore. And half the time she's here visiting, I'm traveling somewhere for an event anyways. So it's cool to like get to me and her hang out. So I see Shelly says we need this at Tulsa. Believe it, girl. We're doing it. We are doing it. And then the jet cars were so cool, and especially to be on the roof right there when that like heat and smoke and all that comes up through there. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I loved the KSHE night of Fire and Thunder. Loved being there. The crowd was awesome. I heard the crowd. I asked a couple times for them to make some noise, and it's always cool when you ask them for them to make noise and you can hear it through
the glass.
Through the glass
and over the afterburner.
Woo!
Yeah. And that car was it was just stationary because it had the brakes locked. It wasn't like stationary because there was something in front of it. It was like just
Like
drag slicks holding it in place.
it is that perfect combination of like, not to use the term like derogatorily, but like redneck engineering. You know, it's
Oh, it
like,
was
dude,
dangerous
we're
as
gonna
all
strap
get out,
some
dude.
awesome, like a stupid,
Yeah.
powerful thing to this. The brakes should hold. What are you gonna do? We're
Yeah.
gonna light some cars on fire, dude. How, like I said, my dad was like, that was the most American awesome thing. That I'll tell you where you know what? Go to France. You think they have that in France? Absolutely
No.
not. That is the good old US of A, baby. That is my national anthem right there. It was beautiful.
And then Josh Scott, the tech director, says the jet car teams thought our banners would be safe. Yeah.
The bird down jet car did have a different sound.
Dude, I'm telling you, I think it had an afterburner turned on or something. That guy was living his best life right then. Had to be.
I also want to give a shout out to KSHE 95, who this is their second
Yes.
year on this event. They had the staff were in a suite next to us, cheering along. They had their street team out there, a couple live broadcasts from there. You can't see it because, there's a car on fire that blows out the exposure, but their logo was on the jet car, on the side of the jet car. Sweet Meat was
Nice.
right there. And we appreciate all of our local businesses. I know our Funny Car Nationals will have a sponsor as well. We appreciate everyone who sponsors one of our events. And we can't thank KSHE enough. We can't thank all of our sponsors enough as well.
Yep. Yeah, it was a great night. Listen, tonight's been fun. Dude,
It has been fun, dude.
Yeah, I love this. I love being able to talk to everybody, after the event ends. And I don't know if we're going to be able to go all the way until before Martin to do this again. So we may have to do something to kind of come up, mid break or something like that to kind of keep people updated, because that is the goal. I mean, I know as people have cars torn apart now and all that kind of stuff, we'll work hard to reach out to racers that have been with us all season, find out what they're doing, find out what the plan is, maybe come in mid break and give some updates on points. And I love the what if stuff, and I'd love to do some interviews with some racers as well.
Absolutely. I'm thinking, so in a couple weeks, I have to have surgery right around here.
Nice.
So I will be out of commission to be talkie. I'll be good to go before Martin. So I'm thinking around mid-August. We'll do an update. Also, what are you doing August 15th, buddy? August 15th through 18th.
Ooh, I don't know. Where are we at? What are we doing?
Ever been to the Nationals in Brainerd?
Oh man, I don't know. I know I haven't. I know I haven't been there. I probably should, is what you're saying.
Just throwing it out there. Just an idea. Just an idea.
What kind of cars are going to be racing there? All of them?
Yeah, all of them. In fact, I ran into the last time I was there. I ran into the Whiteleys because Alcohol Funny Car was a thing. We had some pro mod guys there. So yeah.
Okay.
So
I'll look at it for sure. I know mid-August ends up, I'll be doing some Southeast Gasser stuff sometime in August in Kentucky. And then the Havlicks have a fastest streetcar reunion that they're hosting in Iowa in August, but I think it's the first weekend in August. So, dude, I'll look for sure.
Yeah,
I'd love to.
Absolutely. So we will be back. We'll have more Midwest Drag Racing Series content throughout our break. And again, summer break is here. It's hot in the Midwest. We're going to cool off because the tracks get nasty this time of year. But we will be back. Martin, Michigan is coming up. Okay. Look at this. Martin, Michigan, September 6th through 8th. We take a week off. We are there for the SmackDown in Kansas City at the Flying H Drag Strip. That is the 19th through the 22nd. So 19, 20, 21, and if we need the 22nd in September. Then we're off for a week. Then October 4th, we're in Pine Valley. Then we're off for a week. Then October 18th, we are in Tulsa for the Ronnie Hobbs World Finals, the Fall SmackDown, or the Fall Throwdown in T-Town. We are coming. We are going to take a little break, but we are coming, and the championship swing is only just beginning.
All right, guys. Thanks a bunch. See you soon.
Thank you so much. See you guys around.
Awesome, dude.